Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with today's Cocaine Hippo. Yes, and it's sort of an exercise in pianistic hubris from the excellent Haochen Zhang. He's really a fine pianist, but here we've got, what a coupling, Beethoven's Hammerklavier Sonata and Liszt's Sonata in B minor. Talk about throwing down the gauntlet. These are two of the most iconic virtuoso pieces in the repertoire. And it isn't just a matter of technical facility that they require, which they do, but also interpretive intelligence, insight, maturity, perhaps the quality most lacking in these performances, because Zhang has the chops to play anything. He is remarkable as a technician. He did an excellent set of Beethoven piano concertos, with Natalie Stutzman and the Philadelphia Orchestra for this label. Some very good Liszt transcendental etudes, really first class. But even in the etudes, there were some indications that perhaps he just wasn't quite ripe. You can make excellent salads out of green mangoes, but ripe ones are still better for most purposes. Well, that's sort of what's happening here. He may be either a cocaine hippo or a green mango. You can take your pick, however you want to slice it. He's just not ready. That's my view anyway. He needs a little bit more maturity, and there's certain, I have to be careful in talking about this, because you don't want to jump on him just because he's a young guy and because he has the chutzpah to do these two works and couple them on the same disc. In a lot of respects, it's admirable. He should be fearless. He should take no prisoners. But, the devil's in the details. It all depends on how successful you are, having laid down the gauntlet. Are you really, really ready? Now, let's start with the Hammerklavier. Okay, the first movement is lickety-split. It's very, very quick, almost metronome-markingly quick. But he articulates, he plays it. He's obviously got the music in his fingers. I would really like to hear a little bit more breath between the phrases, possibly. But it's pretty dazzling. The scherzo, too, is just very exciting and beautifully done. The adagio, you want to say, oh, he's too young, he doesn't have the depth, he hasn't suffered, he needs to catch a terminal illness and then play it. No. It's 18 minutes. He's got the tempo, and it's a beautifully judged performance. There may be things that, people will listen to it and say, well, it doesn't have as much depth. Well, maybe, but I'm not really sure how you evaluate depth. I understand it when people say it, but, you say things like, well, it needs to have more profundity. Okay. Go to the supermarket and pick up a pound of profundity. These are very subjective qualities. It's a lovely performance, but where he blows it is the finale. Beethoven marks the finale con alcuna licenza, which means with some license, with some freedom. And the license and freedom is in the contrapuntal working out, not in what he wants the performer to do. And at that point, Zhang kind of must feel that he has to do something. He's done everything that he can do within the certain parameters, but this finale, it's contrapuntal, it's got different lines. You can let something pop out that doesn't pop out. You can distend the final bars. You can do all kinds of things like that. And he does, and it doesn't help. So it's a mostly very good Hammerklavier. It really is. Perhaps just a touch impersonal. And like I said, not quite ripe. Now, the Liszt Sonata is another kettle of beans entirely, because it's Liszt. And because it's Liszt, people feel that they have freedom to do just about anything they damn well please. The interesting thing for me that sort of gives you the key to this whole thing is that it's actually a somewhat slow performance. It's 31 minutes long, and 3 seconds if you care. And so, now that's not a lot. Performances I tend to prefer 29 minutes, maybe 30. It's not like it's a huge difference, but the difference is, the differential is all in internal tempo relationships, speeding up, slowing down, stretching out the phrase. He's got octaves galore. He can do all the most difficult things really marvelously. But what he doesn't seem to be able to do in this particular piece, and it's a tough, it's a it's a mother. I mean, it's one gigantic movement, is that he doesn't seem to understand how all of the big sections relate to each other, so that when you get to one, you feel that you've progressed from, I don't know quite how to describe it, but he hasn't quite managed the transitions. Let's put it that way. He's a moment by moment kind of guy in the B minor sonata. And the B minor sonata needs more than anything an overarching form imposed on it, because it is a allegro, slow movement, scherzo-like fugue thing. It's the Hammerklavier is basically the model for the Liszt sonata, which is all jammed together into one giant movement. And so as a result of that, there's that wonderful moment, like 2/3 of the way through, where before the fugue comes in, the fugato, where it all sort of dies down and you get back to the opening, just dump, dump, bump, bump, right? And that can't sound like the end of the sonata because it isn't. And here it does. It really does. It sounds like it starts up again and you just go, oh, there's more? That's not how you're supposed to feel when you get to that, when it starts up again for its big concluding exordium. Everything that comes after that is a bit of a letdown, actually. And again, it's a question of looking at small choices that he's making along the way, decisions to modify the dynamics or compress certain things or speed up here or slow down there. I think that with time and experience, he's going to be able to do a much better Liszt sonata. So these are, in conclusion, enterprising, gutsy, but not entirely successful interpretations by a major artist who has a bit of a way to go. And yes, I admire his pluck, his gumption, his courage, but at the same time, the audible results tell us that there is also virtue in humility. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.